Huffington Post is doing a series with the Dylan Ratigan Show and United Republic. United Republic is a great organization trying to get money out of politics like we are at Wolfpack. God bless their hearts. And Dan Froomkin and Paul Blumenthal cooperated on this piece, and it's great. The number one fact in it is how much the banks have done in lobbying, and it is a stunning number. They've put in $6.8 billion in federal lobbying and campaign contributions from 98 to 2011. That is not a long period of time. That is not $6.8 million. That's $6.8 billion. That's an amazing amount of money to do lobbying. Now, why? Obviously, they get a good return on investment. They spend that much, they get a lot more back. Remember, the Fed alone gave the big banks $7.7 trillion in basically free money where they didn't even charge them an interest, let alone the money they got through AIG, et cetera, which they got to keep, the backdoor bailouts, the interest-free loans. That's why they do over $6 billion in lobbying. And when other pieces of legislation come up, they crush it mercilessly. What Dick Durbin wanted to do back in 2009 was, hey, listen, there's all these homes that are being foreclosed upon. What we want to do is we think we can rescue 1 million of those homes where they still pay the banks, they don't get foreclosed on. All we got to do is do a reasonable interest rate on those loans so that actually everybody comes out the winner. But the banks didn't want to do that, even though they would continue to get paid, because then they would have to recognize their losses, and they would have to say, yeah, it turns out that house is not worth $200,000, it's worth $100,000. When they do that on their statements, it turns out that they're all in a ton of trouble financially. So that's why they didn't want to admit it. And that's why they sent all their dogs in the Senate to make sure that they went and killed that bill. Oh, no. We won't be helping any homeowners. And Dick Durbin thought he had a home run. I mean, it's May of 2009. We just did the bailouts. President Obama just got elected. The country's incredibly angry. And what happened? The banks easily crushed that bill. It lost by 15 votes in the Senate. And here's what Dick Durbin said. And the banks, hard to believe in a time when we're facing a banking crisis that many of the banks created, are still the most powerful lobby on Capitol Hill. And they frankly own the place. Now, that's his famous quote, and he couldn't be more right about that. And then, there is bill after bill that they wind up crushing. Tom Harkin had a bill to limit the amount of fees that they could charge you at the ATM. You'd like that bill, right? It turns out that they sometimes charge you $5, which you know, right? You know how much it does? It actually costs them to process that ATM transaction? 35 cents. Now, so look, you can argue whether you should do a cap on that or not, et cetera. You know what happened? They didn't even bring the bill up for a vote. But wait a minute, the Democrats control the Senate. His own Democratic Party leader, Harry Reid, wouldn't even bring the bill up. He's like, oh, yeah, come on, good luck to you, get the hell out of here. Harkin was stunned by it. He said, I've never seen anything like this before. Well, because the banks didn't used to own Congress as much as they do now. It's record-breaking. Many other bills introduced. There was a provision in some credit cards saying that if you miss one payment, your interest rates can jump up to 30%, which is gigantic. That used to be illegal to charge people that much. That's loan sharking, right? So Bernie Sanders introduces legislation saying, hey, let's cap it at 15%, which used to be the law in so many places across this country. Not even close. Got around 30 votes. Crushed. He needed 60 votes, got about half the votes that he needed. Every single bill that goes up, sometimes they don't even go up, and other times when they do, they get spiked. Now, as they're covering this in a great article, they did write this one paragraph, though, Froomkin and Blumenthal, that I found somewhat amusing, to be honest. Quote, but in the Senate, thanks to ferocious bank lobbying and a puzzling lack of support, if not outright opposition from the Obama administration, it was defeated by a wide margin, with the bill falling 15 votes short of the 60 needed to cut off debate and move to a final vote. That's the Dick Durbin bill I was telling you about before. Puzzling lack of support from President Obama. I think that they're largely winking, but you might not know why they're winking. It's because President Obama also gets a tremendous amount of money from the banks. His top donor in 2008 was Goldman Sachs. And this time around, it's actually the number 2 industry among his bundlers. These are the rich guys who bundle up even more money and hand it off. 62 of the bundlers are from the finance, insurance, and real estate industry, what they call the FIRE sector. And how much have they raised for President Obama already this early in this election season? $9.4 million. Wow, geez, so puzzling why President Obama would have had opposition to a bill that would have actually had the banks be decent to homeowners and actually continue to make money. It would have been a win for everybody. But somehow, since the banks didn't want it, the Obama administration didn't seem to want it either. Weird how that works. Then when you go to one of their top lobbyists, David Kittle, he's the chairman of the Mortgage Bankers Association. Here's what he has to say about it. Him bragging, quote, "We led the way on this, and we are clearly responsible for defeating this for the third time in the last year," referring to one of the pieces of legislation I was just telling you about. He's like, what, you're going to bring that weak sauce in here, man? We own this place. What do you think we spent nearly $7 billion for? It's to buy all these sons of bitches. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, bring your bill to help the American people and homeowners and depositors and people who actually use the banks. You've got no chance. We bought the place, lock, stock, and barrel. And he gets surprising help from the Democrats, although a lot of the people who introduced the bills that were going to help the customers, to be fair, were Democrats. He gets complete help from the Republicans. And of course, in the end, they win easily every single time. It sucks, but that's how our system works. The only way to clean it up is if you say those guys are not allowed to contribute to politicians.